C25 this, C25 that. I literally can't escape it. I keep dying to this Walmart brand M4A1, as it has completely taken over Phantom Forces servers. But instead of complain about it, as we love to do around here, how about we take advantage of this gun? Let's make this gun absolutely unstoppable. But how can we best do that? First, let's take a step back and see what we're dealing with here. The C25, or Colt Canada C25, is a brand new rifle that just came out in 2025 in the real world. Phantom Forces players only have to touch grass. It's the new general service rifle of the Canadian Forces. Why is the most popular gun from the 4th of July update a Canadian gun? No one knows. But what we do know is that it's pretty cracked. In Phantom Forces, it's a carbine that is automatically unlocked at rank 0, joining the Colt Classic M4A1. The developers say that while designing this gun, they wanted to try and revive the M4A1 from 2016. Throughout the years, the actual M4A1 has had dozens of balancing changes and updates. So the C25 is an attempt to revive the initial starting carbine from when the game launched. However, to keep up with the game's gradual power creep, we can see a lot of areas where the stats were buffed to make the succeeding gun more viable in the modern meta. And now that we've laid the groundwork, let's get a little bit more technical and break down why exactly this gun is so good. Well, first, it excels in literally almost every regard, with only a couple of drawbacks, making it a true jack-of-all-trades gun. The biggest perk of this gun, though, has to be the recoil. There is almost zero initial kick, and it has one of the lowest mean aim recoils of all the carbines in the game. With such a low mean, or average, we see almost no change due to the variance, and the bullets always remain concentrated in a very specific range. That being said, the hipfire is pretty atrocious. I tend to do everything I can to avoid hip firing because of just how much the mean hip rotation is. But more than just the recoil, the overall gun stats are kinda just busted. The C25 sits comfortably with 800 fire rate, well above the average for carbines. This, combined with a solid weapon handling, makes for a great combo. The reload time is only 1.89 seconds, and even just the ADS time is insane. We'll talk about attachments soon, don't you worry, but there's a lot to be done in terms of handling as far as those go. The muzzle velocity is very high at 2,930 studs per second with standard penetration and suppression. Pretty much everything here is solid. The only real downside is the inability to 3-hit the torso. The best this gun can do with the 32 damage close is 1 head and 2 torso to kill. Even though it has a headshot multiplier of 1.5 times, you still can't ever 2-shot to the head. This issue in stopping power doesn't disappear as we move out to range, as at 130 studs and further, each bullet only does 19 damage. So at distance, the C25 does a whopping 6 shot to the body. But obviously, this is a close to mid-range rifle, so this is not the preferred situation, ever. But even in spite of the low stopping power and overall damage, due to the 800 fire rate and non-existent recoil, you can easily shred the enemies. But it is worth noting that multi-kills are quite the challenge. This gun is phenomenal for a single pick, but with only 30 bullets being dumped into 1 or 2 enemies at a time, it's very tough. Trust me, getting clips for this video was very difficult. Thanks, C25. And finally, let's move on to the attachments. But honestly, with this gun and the recoil, I think it's best to shift away from the standard reduced recoil strategy and focus entirely on mobility and other stats. One nice thing about this carbine is that there are a ton of gun-specific attachments. We have 4 standard barrels to choose from: default, obviously, Carbine, Marksman, and Squad. I'm a huge fan of the Carbine barrel here, as it leans more into the close range aspects of the gun. It increases the head multiplier to an insane 1.73 times, making close range headshots deal 55.2 damage. Also, we get a massive buff in terms of all handling. Sure, you lose some range, But realistically, you are losing most ranged gunfights anyways. The Marksman might at first glance look amazing, but the hit you take to the fire rate is not worth it. Don't get too caught up on the 3-shot to the body. The grips are pretty standard, but a big thing I've found is that due to the little recoil variance, the skeleton grip and handstop are more than usable when usually they don't work on carbines. This obviously prioritizes handling over everything else, but in a more traditional focus, I would tend to gravitate towards folding or stubby grips if you are looking to maintain the zero recoil concept. And then angled is always a good in-between everything if you're unsure of what you want. But note that it will give you some of the initial recoil kick that doesn't naturally come with the gun. Next up, we have the other attachment category, and here we have a lot of stock options. You can absolutely go for a yellow, blue, or tri-laser, depending on what you want. But the stocks are as follows, in order of more handling and worse recoil to less handling and improved recoil. Remove stock, retract stock, and Sopmod/full stock. The default stock falls in between the retract stock and the Sopmod stock. I tend to really like the retract because it doesn't have any very strong downsides, but a lot of upsides. And just so you know, the Sopmod and full stock actually have the exact same stats. So don't be fooled even if you think the Sopmod should be lighter than the full stock. I was fooled. And finally, we move on to the ammo now. It has the 4 standard rifle ammo types, being REM, AP, HP, and tracerless. But it also comes with a new one called Shell Shock OTM. This ammo is honestly really good, as it increases the headshot multiplier and nearly 30% to the muzzle velocity. But that being said, the max damage range is drastically decreased, and so is overall recoil. With mobility focused builds, like we see in this video, we can't sacrifice any more recoil, unfortunately. So that's going to disqualify it this time. And there's also the 20 Tact. But honestly, it only gives you so many upsides for a mag downgrade to 20 max bullets. So you will not catch me using it very much. But I will hop on the train if they ever add 6.5 Grendel. For this video, the attachments I was using were as follows: Coyote sight, Carbine barrel, Handstop, Retract stock, and default ammo. I'll even do you guys a favor and throw some additional builds in the description below. But with all of these stats, it's clear that this gun has the potential to be one of the best guns in the game, which is insane considering it's a rank 0 gun. I highly recommend everyone watching to give it a shot if you haven't already. But remember, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe as it makes videos like this possible. And with that, I hope to see you all in the next video. Have a great rest of your day.